Good afternoon. My name is Tom Smith, owner and founder of Coppersmith Suspension. Today, we're going to be working on rider setup. A very fundamental way to start with any new motorcycle or a new rider. First, I'd like to take just a moment and thank Husqvarna North America for giving us this demo bike to use for our purposes today and to use to help explain to other riders how to properly set up their vehicle. First of all, we take the vehicle and put it on a stand, both wheels off of the ground. We then take and measure to a mark on the silencer at 500 millimeters. This gives us a way to calculate easy numbers when doing our setup measurements. Then we go to the front of the vehicle, and again, we find a common place where we can hook a tape measure and mark a line at 800 millimeters on the front number panel, again, to give us an even numbered reference point for our testing and setup purposes. Secondly, the biggest problem we have today with setup of a motorcycle is correct rider weight. Riders think that they are a different weight on the vehicle than what they actually are. So at this point, we're going to take a rider in street clothes and we're going to put him on a scale and we're going to see what he weighs. Here we have our test rider perched comfortably on top of the scale. As you can see, our test rider is 187 pounds in street clothes. Now, let's gear him up and see what he actually weighs in his riding gear. Here we are with our rider in gear. He is set up in motocross apparel. In motocross apparel, he currently weighs right at 200 pounds. In street clothes, he was at 187 pounds. In motocross gear alone, the rider has added 13 pounds of riding gear to his normal street clothes. Now, let's take a look at what happens when this rider begins to go off-road. The rider may have a fanny pack, and most certainly is going to have water. So let's just add a water pack. Right now he has 90 ounces of water, which is a typical camel pack. The water weighs an additional 5.5 pounds. Let's see how that marks out on the scale. On the scale, he's only showing 4 pounds added for just the water and the pack. Apparently it must not be full. However, you can see when you take water, you're now adding an additional 4 to 5 pounds. At 204 pounds, the rider has gained over 20 pounds in his riding gear and setup. We are now set up, our rider's in gear. The bike has proper markings on it so we can do easy calculations on our rider and static sag measurements. At this point, we're going to take the vehicle off the stand. And we're going to ask our rider to now get on the motorcycle. I'm going to have the rider move up to where he can grab a hold of a pole or a piece of sign, a pipe, part of anything that he can hold himself without interference from somebody else holding him up or influence the bike. Now, as you can see, the rider is on the bike. I'm going to have the rider scoot forward as far as he possibly can on the vehicle. Can you get any farther forward? That's it. Now go all the way back on the bike as far as you possibly can. Now move into what you feel is a neutral position or the middle. Does that feel like the center point between as far as you can go forward and as far as you can go backward? At this point, we're going to check the rider sag. Okay, we have a rider on the vehicle. We're going to start with our measurement on the back. We are at 395 millimeters. Deducting from 500, that leaves us 105 millimeters of rider sag on the back of the bike. That's perfect. Let's look at the front. With our rider on the front of the bike, going up on the number panel to our 800 millimeter mark, we are at 740. We have 60 millimeters of rider sag on the front of the bike. For GNCC riding or off-road, 60 millimeters is perfect. If he were going to go out in motocross, we would shoot closer to 40 millimeters, 50 millimeters to 60 for GNCC off-road, and 60 to 70 for enduro riding. Now let's get the rider off the vehicle and check the static sag to see where we are in the spring rate. We're back to the bike. The rider off, we now measure, and we have 480. We only have 20 millimeters of static sag on the back of the vehicle. We're going to send this vehicle right now into the service department and let Joe put a new spring on this vehicle so we can continue. We don't want to go any further until we have the right spring on the bike. All right, we have the bike back from the service department with the new spring installed. Again, let's check the rider sag. The rider sag is exactly 395. Again, we have exactly 105 millimeters of rider sag on the back of the vehicle. That's perfect. Now let's check the static sag. The static sag is 465 now. That's exactly 30 millimeters of static sag. That's exactly the numbers we're shooting for. Joe did a good job of putting the correct spring on the bike based on our initial numbers. Now let's take a look at the static sag on the front of the vehicle and see if it has changed as well when we installed a new spring on the rear. And now, on the front, we have 765 millimeters of static sag, which means now we have 35 millimeters of static sag on the front of the vehicle. So by changing the rear spring, we have actually changed the height of the front of the bike as well. This concludes our setup portion of our demonstration. If you have problems achieving the correct numbers, if you're unsure of the direction you need to go with spring rates higher or lower, or if something just feels wrong or not the way it should feel, please call us. It doesn't matter to us what motorcycle, what vehicle you have. If you have a problem with your suspension or your setup, give us a call at area 330-724-2900 or find us online at coppersmithsuspension.com. We're happy to work with you day or night. We'll answer all of your questions, and we want you to have the very best suspension you can possibly have. Thanks again from all of us at Coppersmith.